Hey everybody! I know there's a little bit of a delay right when we get started, but it looks like we already have 14 people watching tonight. Welcome to Pets Plus Live Beyond the Pages. I'm Candace Doniolo of Pet Boss Nation. I'm also a regular columnist for Pets Plus magazine. If you're tuning in now, please type in the chat feed either on live or on the replay and let us know that you're here. I'd love to know who's with us. And I also would love to know what type of business you have. That helps us as we interview our experts who are in the magazine. This is the latest issue. Look at that beautiful cover. The latest issue of Pets Plus for March. I hope you've gotten your copy in the mail. If you haven't, you can check out the digital version on petsplusmag.com. You can also subscribe to get your version in the mail, which you absolutely should do because these magazines are beautiful. That's really the reason I write for Pets Plus, and it's why I do these webinars is because, or shows really, is because there's so much good content in these. So much good content that I wish I had a magazine like this when I was in my pet career, which, gosh, started 15 years ago. But this is amazing. And one of the cool things they have going on right now is their America's Coolest Store contest. And I think the deadline is fast approaching. It was March 15th, I think, to submit your application. If we have anyone from Pets Plus watching, if that is different, please let me know. But I do have a link here where you can enter to win to be one of America's coolest stores. I'm going to get the link here real quick. Put that in the chat feed. Oh, I think we've already got, yeah, Ralph's with us. Great. And Pam's with us. So we've got the America's Coolest Store. What's super cool about that is that you, not only if you apply, and you are one of the honorable mentions, you get featured in the magazine, just like our guests today, Odyssey Pets. They were an honorable mention. And then if you're the winner, you get your picture on the cover. That is amazing. I don't know that I will ever have that in my lifetime. I hope one day. I have a feeling our experts today that are with us that own Odyssey Pets eventually will be on a cover of a magazine because they are 6-time award winners as well. But before we get into that, I cannot believe it's already March 3rd. I cannot believe it. Or March 7th. We're already in the third month. It's just blown by. 2018's blown by. We have, this is our 5th episode of Pets Plus Live Beyond the Pages. And I would love to know what you're proud of. You know, at Pet Boss Nation, we are business coaches and consultants, and we set goals every month. Or we have our clients set goals every month. And it's really important to go for your goals and go for what you achieve, but really to be happy with what you've accomplished. And so we're almost done with our first quarter of 2018. Are you happy with where you're at? What have you achieved? I would love to hear what you've gotten done. Please type in the chat feed what you've accomplished so that we can celebrate it with you. Maybe we'll celebrate it at the end. All right. In each episode of Pets Plus Live Beyond the Pages, you get to go on a journey with me. We get to go beyond the pages of the magazines where you get to talk live with experts who've contributed to tap into their brilliant minds and access that knowledge and find new opportunities for yourself. So I promise that if you stick through to the end, you will not only be inspired, but maybe an old dog. I know I'm getting to be an old dog. I'm turning 39 very soon. Can learn a new trick. So don't be shy during this entire show. Just chat in the feed. We do take questions. So if the question pertains to what we're talking about at the time, I'd be happy to answer it with our guests, or we just save them for the end and we have Q&A time at the end. Helping pet professionals like you is so important to me, and it's very important to Pets Plus, which is why we do these webinars. So I thank you for taking the time out to join us tonight. Now, both Pets Plus and I will be at the Global Pet Expo. I'm going to tell you more details at the end because I don't want to leave our guests waiting too long. But the Global Pet Expo is coming up in Orlando, Florida this March, I think the 21st. Yes, is the first day, the 21st, the 23rd. Pets Plus will have a booth, and I'll be there too. If Christina or Pam could post a link to register or to the Global Pet Expo's website, that would be great. So really for this episode, we're going to go deep into what it's like to deal with competition. Tonight, I'm talking to Mike Doan and Sherry Redwine of Odyssey Pets in Dallas, Texas. Odyssey Pets has been in business for 13 years. They are experts in tropical fish and all manner dog and cat. They provide boarding, daycare, and grooming, as well as holistic pet supplies. Now, the reason I said we're talking about pet or competition is because Pet Supplies Plus is opening up shop right across the street from them. They can see this business through their windows while they're standing at their register. Would you be worried? That's what I want to know. I'm going to put a poll up. How much you guys worry about your competition? Because I know that is definitely something that happens. Whether it's big box or your local independent pet business, do you worry about your competition? We'll give it a minute to take that. Oh. And how do you compete? How do you compete? How do you feel about competition? Not only do they have a Pet Supplies Plus opening up across the street, they also have a Petco, a PetSmart, and a Petland, who are all within a 5-mile radius of them. I, in my own business with my brick and mortar, have had, I think we had almost 8 independent pet businesses and big chain stores within a 1/2-mile radius. Now, I was in a really urban environment, so it's even tighter. Competition is everywhere. Now, let me go back to my poll and see where we're at. It is truly a 50-50 split. Love it. I love it. Okay, well, I can't wait to hear what our guests have to say about competition. I'm going to bring on, I'd love to welcome Mike and Sherry. Please turn on your cameras and join us. Hello.
Hello.
Now, you guys must be rock stars if you're not worried about competition.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm not at least aware of the realities that can befall a store that is going up against, you know, someone like PSP, Pet Supplies Plus, right? I mean, it's a legitimate challenge to the way we do our business. So I don't want to come off crass, and you know, it is going to be a challenge, but you know, we definitely have an approach and a strategy. We have a real strategy that we've laid out, and you know, it doesn't involve being angry, right?
Yes. I think the typical emotions that I hear when I talk to our consulting clients, and even just the bigger Pet Boss Nation community, and I guarantee this conversation's probably come up in a Pets Plus article too, is what happens, and those emotions of like when you find out, you know, rumors get through the, you know, rumors go through the realtor mill, right? That a vacant space is going to be bringing in a new competition. And sometimes businesses panic because they haven't been maybe communicating with their customers as much as they should be. Maybe they are not as unique as they hope they would. Maybe the competition is going to do exactly the same thing. But what I love that you said is that you have a unique strategy. So yeah. I would love to hear that. What's your unique strategy?
Well, I guess it is really, it's a simple strategy, and that is to play to our strengths, okay? And also accept the synergy that Pet Supplies Plus is bringing to the area, right? One of the things I think people overlook is that inadvertent advertisement can be a good thing. A new store in your area is going to bring new people to that area that didn't even know you were there, right? We've already gotten, we have already gotten people who never knew we were there, because the way Pet Supplies Plus built their store, and I'll be honest, okay, when they built it, we panicked. I mean, we saw, we got a call from work one day from the staff saying, they put a banner on the building right across the street, and it's Pet Supplies Plus.
Mm.
And it had been vacant for a year. We were hoping for like a bakery to move in or a cool new restaurant to eat at. And so it was a shocking moment. And we went through all of the phases of emotion, right? I mean, we wanted, you know, an immediate kind of response. Like I was going to build a giant sandwich board sign and put it out on the street facing their store so that they would know I knew. But that became really silly because it was obvious that they knew what they were doing. And, you know, maybe they see it from a different way, right? Maybe they understand synergy in a way that I don't, as if I was afraid of it. But what I've already seen is more people coming in. And yes, the possibility that I could lose a customer to a cheaper dog food or to
the fact that it's on the other side of the street for going home traffic.
Right.
But what I've heard in our area is that the people who own the PSPs in the DFW Metroplex, it's all the same group of people. Their tactic is to open up next to stores like us to peel off customers. So they did it to us, but we have so many services that that's probably going to be our saving grace. All they have over there is a do-it-yourself dog wash. So if anybody wants real grooming, boarding, daycare, aquarium service, they're going to have to come to us. And we're guessing that their staff is probably going to send them to us. It's already happened, and they've only been open a week.
Yeah. So I love what you said. Not only, and I think that goes into, well, it's part of probably the synergy aspect. So you originally, Mike, were talking about synergy for bringing new pet parents into the neighborhood because they're going to be doing all this advertising. But what you just brought up, Sherry, was that synergy is really more their team is going to send people to you. And I guarantee they don't do raw. I'm sure they don't do raw. And if they do, they're not going to do it well.
They don't do it well, but they do some.
They have about a quarter of the amount of raw of that what we have. So.
Right. But it takes a long time for, I think, that, you know, part of nutrition and education, that part of being a pet retailer, it takes a long time and is intimidating in the beginning. So to learn all of that, I feel like that's a great example of, they'll go, well, you know, I don't know a lot about raw, but those guys across the street know a ton about raw, and they might send them over. Yeah.
Yeah, because we've invested so much time, and nutrition, you know, for lack of a better way of saying it, is our mission, right? Mm-hmm. Making animals healthy through a proper diet. It's easy to do, and so you just have to do a little homework, and then you can really provide people with, and the results, you know, are always obvious. Mm-hmm. So you could, you know, that's an easy one, I guess.
Well, side note, the other great thing about raw is that it's harder to order that online, so people have to come to a brick and mortar. So
yeah.
I'm glad it's a good trend.
Yeah, it's a big trend. And if you are a retailer watching and haven't brought in raw yet, or are not selling as much of it as you want to, it is a very significant player in a lot of pet businesses' business, and it sets you apart. So you should invest some time and energy in learning more, working with the brands to learn more, doing your own research.
We brought in 3 new freezers just last year. So we expanded quite a bit in the raw sector.
Mm-hmm. How many freezers do you currently have?
7 or 8, including the ones in the back. We've got a few storage freezers in the back. And
we even carry frozen fish food.
Oh, that's right, including those. So I've probably got 9 freezers actually.
Yeah. So how do you develop those relationships with your competitors?
Well, I think being nice is critical. And you really have to watch out, you know, especially as an owner. It would be easy for me to lambaste Pet Supplies Plus in front of my staff, right? And say bad things. And you know, and I probably already have, in all fairness, okay? But I have actually, you know, kind of said, hey, we're not going to be angry. We're going to be smart, you know, and we're not going to hate them. They're people. And the people that work there, we're just looking for a job. It's not their fault. And so it's not them. And again, you know, once you have time to really think about the benefits and the potential losses, I think that you can find that path. So anger is not the way, right? Revenge is the way. Counter negative advertising only brings more negative attention to you. But if we're nice to them and we treat them with respect and even send people to them when we don't have something that someone needs.
We'll send people back.
That's that's straight out of A Miracle on 34th Street, right? That's that old school movie where you do the right thing and hope that they will do the right thing. And that is definitely our approach. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think that's so important about being nice. I was telling you this story off camera right before, but I think it's important for everybody too. But I'm kind of that way as well with competition. I believe that there is plenty of business to go around for all of us. You've even said that in your article in Pets Plus this month in March, that there's plenty of business for everybody. There's no reason to panic. But when I had for my doggy daycare, I was kind of the only doggy daycare in the neighborhood for a long time. And then in the same month, one opened on like 4 blocks on one side and 4 blocks on the other. And I decided, I was like, I'm not going to panic. My staff was kind of panicking. And I said, we're not going to panic. There's plenty of business, plenty of dogs. And I went to the local florist on the shop and I sent them nice plants with a handwritten note that just said, welcome to the neighborhood. We have been here for a really long time. We look forward to learning more about your business so that we can service as many dogs as possible in the neighborhood. And while it might have been like really, that might be seen as like semi-aggressive, but it's kind of like what ended up happening is one of those women got the plant and I put my cell phone number in there. She instantly called me and said, you are awesome. Let's go get lunch. So we ended up getting lunch and her and I now are great friends. She's become one of my best friends and we send business back and forth constantly to each other. Then the other daycare, took them a week. They sent me an email and they were just like, thanks for the plant. And like, there's no relationship. So I think it's much better to have the relationship because it only is better for your own energy, and eventually it does bring in more business for both people.
Yeah,
Definitely.
And again, I would say that if I was in a significantly more rural area, I would probably be more concerned. Yeah. Where in the area where I am, there's just a million people stacked on top of each other. It's not it's not like Chicago dense or New York dense, but there's a high density of everything from apartments to multi-million-dollar homes within a 5-mile radius of our store. So we are surrounded by lots and lots of people and a constant influx of new people. And so our boarding and daycare, though it's boutique and niche, right? I'm not just a boarding facility. We're not just a grooming salon. We're a bunch of things. And we do a little bit of each one of those things.
I'm pretty sure 100,000 roll past our intersection every day.
Right.
So
can you repeat that? I think the mic was just switching between.
100,000 cars roll past our intersection every day. So
wow,
it's pretty urban.
Yeah, it's busy intersection. There's enough people.
Yeah. For those of you watching, like this post or make a comment if you wish that you could have cars going by your store every day. My goodness, who needs Facebook when you've got foot traffic?
Right.
So some of the other key things is not only about developing the relationship with those competitors, but one of the reasons you're not worried is because you said that you like to focus on what you do well. So let's dig into that. What do you do well?
Well, fish is probably, the one part of the animal industry that or pet side that we're heavily focused on. That's the live animal that we sell. I don't sell parakeets. I don't sell hamsters and gerbils. We don't do any reptiles anymore. We did at one time, but I feel that there was a shift in the pet industry towards specialty breeders, and they kind of kicked a lot of the pet stores out of quality reptiles. And so since then, we've kind of really focused on tropical fish where we could gain a foothold where other people couldn't compete as well. And because we really put our emphasis on the hardest part, coral reefs, coral, living corals, and as well as a wide array of freshwater fish and the aquarium service. That kind of gives us, that's our specialty niche. And it would be really hard to compete with us because, as a tropical fish enthusiast, and I would classify myself as an expert at this point. I've been doing it for over 30 years. And the people that I've tutored and mentored through the process, we actually have experience that I don't find anywhere anymore. So I used to be able to go into a Petco and have an intelligent conversation about an aquarium without the retailer knowing, or like the fish person knowing that I was a known fish guy or that I knew what I was doing, right? And I would just talk to someone, maybe look at their fish and ask a few questions, and you would get a fairly in-depth conversation with somebody who was passionate, who knew what they were doing and what they were talking about. And that seems to be really lagging in my experience going into other stores.
So ultimately, knowledge is our forte.
Yeah, knowledge is power.
Nutrition knowledge for the dog and cat food side of things too.
Mm-hmm. The niching into that category, I was just at the Pet Industry Leadership conference, and I met somebody who works for a company who sells like the cages and the crates and the aquariums and all the stuff for small animals. And we talked to, Paul Lewis last time with birds. And he kind of said the same thing. He's like, in stores, you can't buy animals anymore, really, in a lot of very many places. And there's not the knowledge there. And so you've been able to really hone into that. And this guy that I met at that conference was saying the same thing. He's like, it's a huge missed opportunity because there's a lot of margin. And there's a whole like stuff, there are people out there that want these, that do want them. It's just, what's your take on why maybe they're not available anymore? Are they just too high maintenance for a retailer, or why has it been pushed out?
He's got just the answer for this.
Okay. Yeah, here's my problem. This is the new pet.
Yes.
And look, we're not getting new reptile people. I'm getting reptile enthusiasts who've done it for years and already buy their reptiles online. They're either breeding them or they're doing something with their reptiles, and they're talking to some breeder in Madagascar, and they're online, and this is all happening online. Reptiles are probably the easiest animal on earth. Reptiles and spiders or insects are the easiest animals on earth to ship anywhere on earth. Wow. You can put a snake or a lizard in a box and it is good for 72 hours anywhere on earth. It'll be fine. Fish are a little more of a challenge, but in general, we can do 48 hours in a bag with a tropical fish. So it can travel from Fiji to California, and from California to Dallas, Texas, or it can come from Florida to Dallas, right? Mm-hmm. So these animals have to be able to handle that. Hamsters can handle it, but I haven't had a kid in my store looking for a habit trail, the hamster, in over 6 months. Now, you might argue that's because I'm not promoting them. And to be honest, I don't. Hamsters are nocturnal creatures. They bite children. They stay up all night. It's kind of silly. Yeah. And we as an industry should grow up a little bit about things like that, about actually giving an animal a proper life. So if it's a nocturnal rodent, what are we doing? Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so with birds, I own a bird. I'm a bird enthusiast. I've had birds since I was a kid, right? And again, no one's coming through the door asking for parakeets. And I'm in a prime location. I get maybe 1 or 2 people every month or so coming in, every 6 months saying, do you have parakeets for sale, right? We had a pet supermarket open up 5 miles away. Or
it was like
less
a mile away.
Mile away. They had a full line. It was an old school, classic pet store setup. They had hamsters, gerbils, parakeets, cockatiels, and small fish section, and they were out of business in a year. And according to them, it was the lowest performing store they've ever opened. There is something real happening. And I've been talking about it for 5 years. Mm-hmm. There is a shift in online world, phones, all of it. It has changed. It's changed the way we're doing things. So my focus is, what can I sell? Not what do I like. I like it all. I'm a pet guy. I've been an animal guy since I was a kid, right? I was collecting snakes and selling them to pet stores. It was awesome, but that's not the world we live in anymore. So I've focused. Dog, cat, fish.
Yeah.
That's real.
So how are you? Do you have any programs where you go out and educate or inspire new fish owners, or is it just a big enough section, like just section of your store, your dog owners are finding that part of your business?
You know, that's actually one of my clever ploys. I would say that I would say almost all of my aquarium owners have dogs or cats. So that's a natural synergy. Not all dog and cat owners have an aquarium, but almost all of my aquarium owners have a dog or a cat. So there's a natural synergy between those two things.
I will say things like Finding Nemo have spawned a whole new generation of kids that are interested and adults that are willing to spend the money on it. So the small tanks are what's big right now. A lot of people are getting into the industry with kits instead of the really big aquariums. Whereas 10 years ago, we could sell a 100-gallon aquarium pretty easily, but that's not the case now.
Well, you have to adapt. And one of the other things too is that you mentioned is that you have an aquarium service. Yeah. Is that and a lot of times with our clients too, we talk about how they can bundle things or create new revenue streams that complement something that they already do. Have you had that? I'm assuming the aquarium service is what that you go. Well, you tell me what the aquarium service is and how long you've been doing it.
Well, I think the natural thing there is add-on food sales for dogs and cats in the home, right? I mean, the aquarium service is its own thing, and it has its own add-on sales like food and supplies and water that you might leave for evaporating aquariums and you know, regular maintenance schedules and things like that. Those are all great. But the real add-ons is, you know, if they happen to have a dog, then you can also deliver their dog food. You can deliver, you know, their cat food or litter, whatever they need for the other animals in their home. And so that's kind of, does that kind of answer what you were talking about?
Yeah, actually it expands into what I didn't know what it was. So you have an aquarium service. Is it like a monthly service or yeah, you go, you clean. And then since they have dogs and cats, you can bring all the other stuff. So it's now a delivery as well. That's awesome.
It's not really an aggressive upsell. It's more like, oh, you have a dog, you know, we deliver dog food. We can bring it when we come to do your service.
Love that. So one of the other things so you've got that you like to niche on fish. What's another thing that sets you apart?
Probably the style in which we incorporate dog daycare and training into the process. Okay. That's kind of the newest addition. That's the add-on service that we brought in. We built a significant add-on area so that we could do group play for large dogs. For us, it kind of started organically. We started keeping groomed dogs behind the register at one of our other locations. And people would come in and watch the little groomed dogs playing with each other. They fell in love with it.
Oh, can I bring my dog?
They would say, can I bring my dog?
So when we had to
move. Hold on one second. Take some time to pick you up. Okay.
Okay, so when we moved to the location we're in now, we built a half circle behind our register. We can fit like 20, 25 small dogs back there, and some people come in just to watch them play. So it attracts people into the store. Did you lose us?
Yeah, no, I'm here. I can still hear you. I just shared my screen so people can see. Okay. This is the store. Yeah. And well, one I love, this is your groomer. I love the laughing, smiling groomer. I love it.
That's Michael. Yeah.
I love it. There's you guys. And this is Is this what you're talking about?
Yes. Yeah. That's the small dog daycare. And then we have a larger area in the back for the big guys. Plus we have an outdoor fenced in 65-foot run to play outside. Yeah, that's the big dog daycare area.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that's a great meeting.
and we use that for training as well.
Okay. I see there. Okay, you got a lot of space there. That's a big space. Yeah, I think here's the outdoor run. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Our landlord
Yeah,
was kind enough to let us build that.
I love that. I wanted to do something like that outside my store in the Chicago Parkway between the street and my building and the sidewalk, and they weren't going to let me. I love that.
I told my landlord that it was a great place in case of a fire to move all of the kennel dogs outside, and they said, do it.
Which is true, because
That is true.
there was a fire right next door to us. We're next door to a large grocery store. And we were like, okay, what would we do with all these dogs? Yeah, even if we put all of them into our cars, if we were packed, it still wouldn't work. So
Right.
At least we have that outdoor area. We can just throw everybody out there and hope for the best.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've added on these other services that made it interesting. They're unique. What else? What sets you apart from your competition?
Well, I would say customer service is, I haven't brought it up, but that is number one. Establishing personal relationships with your customers.
I would say product selection. Sorry, I want to jump in.
Oh, she's jumping in.
I do all the ordering for the store, and so I try to find products that are unique, that you can't find at the big box stores. Also products that you may not be able to find online, which that one's more difficult. But we don't carry anything made, edibles that are made in China. No corn, no gluten, no soy. Yeah, so we're like the holistic, we're like the Whole Foods of pet stores, but at a better price than Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's more like Vitamin Cottage
Or like
Trader
Joe's.
Yeah.
Trader Joe's. So when you said that you like to find unique products, do you order mostly from distributors or direct?
Both. I love to find new startup companies. So like when I go to trade shows, the first thing I do is go to the new product section. I guess most people probably do that, but I spend most of my time there. And yeah, I don't mind ordering direct from these smaller companies because it sets me apart. People come in and they're like, wow, this is a really cool product. And even if the big box stores pick it up a couple years later, I still got all those sales the first couple of years.
Right.
So
the argument I hear, I agree with you. I believe completely. You have to have a balance between what you get from distributors and what you order direct. But the complaint I hear a lot is, why would I make more work for myself? That's more invoices. That's more paperwork. It's more vendors to deal with, more problems. What's your response to that? I've heard that before.
I don't know. I like to shop. So
Yeah.
To me, it's like shopping, and I don't mind.
Right.
But yeah, it is convenient to order from the larger distributors as well. And yeah, I do try to order as much as I can from my big guys. But to get those cool, unique products, or like a new treat line, you got to go direct to the small companies.
Yeah, for sure. So important. Okay. So you guys, if you have any questions, actually, since we're talking on products, I'm going to go back to that. There's one photo that we haven't shown yet that I thought was great. But if you guys have questions about anything they've talked about, just type them in the chat feed. We'll take your questions in a little bit. All right. Now, you've talked about the products and you love shopping, so you probably love merchandising as well, especially with this photo. Let me pull it up here. Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Now, I was flipping through that and I was like, wow, I love that. That's going to catch people's eyes. Not only like the dog mannequin, but then this huge piece of meat. You've got some props in there. You've got this huge sign that says raw, explains exactly what it is. And if someone had no idea what a raw diet was or what you were promoting, they would ask. And you've done a really great job with this. The colors, with the simplicity, you didn't overcrowd it. I love it.
Well, I love to do window displays. If I wasn't, if I didn't do this whole pet store thing, I'd probably be doing window displays. And I love merchandising in general. So yeah, the window display, I gotta say, most stores don't put enough emphasis on a window display. And I had no idea how beneficial it could be until we actually threw our full effort into it. People stop in front of that display and take selfies. Now, I rotate my displays every 2 months. You got to keep it fresh, but our goal is to get people to stop in their tracks, look at it, and I've seen people stop, look, and then come in, and they've never been in before. I've seen people take selfies. I've seen people come in and ask about what's in the window. So it is really beneficial, and it keeps things fresh. Now we're right next to that big grocery store, so we get a lot of foot traffic. So yeah.
I want to make a point. I think that a lot of people, a lot of pet stores especially, this is a counterintuitive approach. Their tendency is to put decals and stickers and garbage in their windows and pictures of all the foods that they sell and stack outs, and then they put other decals, you know, saying all these other things. We've got this clean window that we're just presenting an image, right? And it may be 1 month, it may be all about a particular dog food. She's fixing to do a pretty radical dog food
because
vision.
Pet Supplies Plus doesn't offer frequent buyer, and we have frequent buyer cards on the majority of our foods. I'm making a display announcing that. So it's going to be a collage of food with a big sign. So
I love it.
I put all those on our Instagram page, by the way. Our windows.
Well, that's good. I'll have Pet Boss Nation. I wonder why my mic is a little funny now. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah, I hear you okay. There's a little bit of an effect, but it's like a reverb.
Yeah, something strange. Awesome. Well, I love that. Now, Kim has said that she loves that you two have a lot of enthusiasm, and it shows. The power couple in Dallas, Texas, in the pet industry. Now, it's not just you guys, though. You have 2 other business partners, right?
Yeah.
My parents. Yeah. They're big in their names are Bill and JoAnn, and they're big into the dog show side of things. So they have 5 show Havanese, and so they got hard into the whole dog sector of things, and of course he's been doing this for 40 years probably.
Easy.
And we met actually at a
I'm 55.
and I'm actually 35. So but and we met at a fish store we were working at. So it all came together. We're definitely animal people.
Yeah.
Did you always know you'd be small business owners?
Actually, I said I would never do it again.
Right. He had a store before he even met me.
I did it on it's a similar concept, much smaller budget. And then me and Sherry wrote a business plan, which was unintentional, literally, but we wrote it out. And her dad liked it. Yeah. I think he was worried somebody else was going to take it, and then we would fail miserably and be in debt to someone who we would owe a lot of money to, because it was a really attractive business plan. And it turns out it was wrong. It was completely wrong. We've now made tons of money. We struggle to pay the rent still, even though we pay a lot in rent, we pay a lot in salary, and we're dedicated and we're doing okay. But we're not getting rich quick. And hopefully someday we'll do well. I think other stores have done much better than us, but they're not as specialized as us, right? They've either opened up a lot of satellites and branches, and they sell a lot of foods like Hollywood Feed. That concept, it just wasn't what I wanted to do. I didn't want to just be a multi-pop-up dog food outlet. I really like being involved, and I love doing coral and fish, boarding, training. Hard to job that out.
If we opened up a store, I don't know how you could keep quality up with the boarding that daycare, the grooming, the training, the aquarium service, plus having aquarium people, it would be very difficult.
You do offer a lot of services. And, what I'd say the only way that you can grow that is with systems and processes. And at that point, you guys would be managing a team and people and not doing what you love to do, I'm sure. So,
well, that's a big step for us. And, maybe someday we'll figure out how we could do it, how we could systematize what we do. But right now, it still functions on an emotional, organic level with success because we're frugal and we try really hard to analyze what's happening.
It also goes back to customers know us, and we have a personal relationship with them, and our long-time employees have a personal relationship with them. So that's why we're successful, is the personal relationship with our customers, I believe.
And how do you get to that?
Yeah, you're coming back. You're coming in and out. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. How do you
I can hear you now.
how do you get to that personal level or relationship? Like, is there a process you like to go through? Like, how do you greet people when they come into your business? What's from start to finish? Like, how does it look?
Okay, so we don't intentionally, I do demand that my employees greet people when people come into my store. Okay, but it has to be in the way that you would greet someone. So for me, it may be, hey, how you doing? Or for another employee, it may be, hello, but it has to be bright and upbeat, and we do have to greet them. I don't want to say a catchphrase because most of my employees are not actors. And so if you give them a catchphrase,
I hate it when you walk into a place and they're like, welcome to Odyssey Pets. It's
right.
a great day. How can I help you? Nobody wants to hear that.
I don't want to hear it. And maybe somebody does, but I don't want to hear it. So for those folks, we're probably going to disappoint them, but we're going to be honest. That means we still have to be really nice. Now, I don't want to crowd people, but one of the first things we say when they come in is, if there's anything you need, let us know. That lets them know we saw them come in and they can definitely come to us for whatever they need. I don't want them feeling like they can wander around the store without anyone ever offering them help. So when we tell them right up front, let us know if you need something, they are much more inclined to come to you when they need something. And then you can give them space to shop in your store. Now in Texas, in Dallas, that works really well, right? We have a pretty kind of, we're used to business in Dallas. I don't know that Odyssey Pets would work in another region the way we do it, but we're very openly friendly. The other thing I try to do is remember people's names.
Yeah, I remember the dog name.
Right. It's really tough. Like, I know all of the dogs' names that come to our store, but remembering people's names, that's really important. And the more you can do it, and you're not going to do it all the time. And I even still today will forget someone's name who I definitely used to know their name, but I haven't seen them in a while, and now I can't place it. So name recognition is important, even if it's not name recognition, face recognition, right? Giving someone the acknowledgement, that time of day of I know you. And, one of the other things is multitasking at our counter, at our register. If I've got someone on the phone and a customer walks up, they have to stop what they're doing on the phone, look up, and acknowledge that person, even if it's just a simple, here's a demonstration. I'll be right with you, right? Something like that to let them know you see them. I really feel like it's important to acknowledge them. But after that, let them come to you.
I mean, how many stores have you been into and you get ignored?
Well, that's happened at Pet Supplies Plus.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's easy.
I couldn't resist because it has happened. It's near. I moved out of the city. I'm in the suburbs now, and there aren't really any independents, and so I have had an occasion to go there. And while the cashier is always very nice, but there isn't a lot of, But anyway, that's not the point here. The point is, I love that you've developed these relationships, and one of your key strategies in doing that is just acknowledging their presence and letting them know that you remember them and value them. Right? I love that.
Absolutely. I can't stand it when I've seen the same barista for 6 months in a Starbucks and they still don't recognize my face. It bugs me. It's not hard to do, right? Acknowledge them. These are regulars. These are people. I mean, they're not our family, but they're our friends.
We do have to find good employees.
Yes.
And that is one of the toughest things, is finding good employees that are passionate about helping people, and they're passionate about pets. So
it's easy to find people passionate about pets, but it's not easy to find people who are passionate about both helping people and pets.
Yes.
This is really about helping people.
Right.
yeah.
That's what this is about.
Okay, wow, you've given us a lot to think about. I want to touch on one more area of your excellence that you've accomplished. So I have another poll for our viewers. And if you're watching this on a replay, just type in the comments later how you feel about this. But one of the things these guys have done is they are like 6-time award-winning pet store professionals. And I want to put the poll up now. It says, have you ever applied for an award? Yes, no, I've never thought about it. Part of the award process, and as mentioned earlier, Pets Plus has their coolest stores contest coming up. My camera's a little out of whack, but coolest stores contest coming up. And I think the deadline's March 15th, but a lot of times people don't think to apply even. So why have you made applying for awards important?
I think one of the great things about applying for these awards is it really helps you define who you are as a pet store, okay? Because the questions that you have to answer help you define your goals. So even if you don't win, you're going to learn something about yourself by submitting to win, right? You're going to learn a lot about what you actually do. You may think you know, but when you start writing it down and you try to put it in a context that says, here's how we're good at what we do, you have to be honest, but you're going to learn, and it'll also help you establish goals. It really helped us establish goals.
Well,
once we saw what happened, we were like, well, we need to do this, and then we need to do that.
Every year we've grown and added more services and other offerings.
And we've submitted several times and won nothing, but we've learned something about ourselves in those submissions. And all you can do is ask, and try. So but losing wasn't that bad.
It is cool when you win,
because
then you can use that in your marketing.
Yeah, winning that does benefit marketing.
Yeah, I love it. On your website, when you go to their website, guys, Odyssey Pets, they actually have a tab that says Odyssey Awards. It's like, and they're all listed there. And I, these awards sometimes they're quick applications. Sometimes they're a very long withdrawn process. I've heard that some of the awards that are given at Global Pet Expo, like the Retailer Excellence Awards, that they're literally like binders, and you have to get letters of recommendation from like the alderman's office and like all kinds of crazy stuff. But it is a really proud moment to acknowledge yourself and your hard work when you do get recognized. And then if you don't, to your point, you learn a lot and you get ideas and you can kind of reflect back and see what you could develop more. Because sometimes they might be asking questions that you've never even considered. Like you don't have a policy around that. You don't have a program for that. And it might be something you should develop. So
that's it exactly. We learned a lot each time and it helped us to establish new goals to keep growing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So thanks. Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. All right. So we've got a little bit of time left, about 10 minutes. If anyone has questions, just pop them in the feed. Otherwise, I got lots and lots. They've given me some amazing kind of segues of ideas here. I love that we've got some opinionated business owners. I want to get into the question I ask a lot is just what pisses you off? And you had an answer to this.
What did we put down?
You talked about quality in manufacturing.
Yeah, I probably did. Yeah. Yeah.
That was you.
I don't remember exactly what I said. I'm not looking at the quote.
Oh, yeah.
But I would definitely say that when I go to the trade shows, I'm looking at a lot of products that are absolutely dysfunctional. And I don't understand how it got past just someone's bad idea on a piece of drawing paper all the way through.
Dysfunctional as people, it's not usable, or like.
Yeah, it's not gonna be effective at all. I mean, I've had people bring some of the most ridiculous things in the world. I had a guy bring a pooper scooper with a bag that you had to put over the end piece that picked up the poop, and it had a flashlight attachment. And no matter how I looked at it, I could only imagine that if I use this device, I'm going to get poop on me. And to see that it went all the way through the design process, ended up at a trade show being sold.
I saw him at 2 trade shows.
Yeah, at the trade show, selling it to people like it's a great thing. And, you know, just a little bit
it really complicates picking up poop.
Oh my God, it was terrible, right?
Yeah.
So just the level that I sometimes think that the pet industry is, you know, probably.
Well, I gotta say with aquariums, it seems like they cut corners a lot, and there's like flimsy plastic stuff breaks really easily. You know, if they just made it a little better, it would last a lot longer, and it wouldn't cost that much more. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's just it's flimsy, cheap plastic stuff, and you know, anytime I find a quality product, I'm all about it, right? So that's an easy jump to make. That doesn't mean we don't have some kitsch. You could probably walk in my store and find a SpongeBob aquarium ornament, and I'm not ashamed to sell it. Okay, SpongeBob is cool. That's not what I'm talking about.
Or, you know, I've got $1.99.
Right.
You got to have that, and then you got to have your $25 dog toy too. So, yeah.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that again, Sherry?
Oh, we do have like some cheap $1.99 dog toys that are not quality, but you know, certain people want that. They just want like a throwaway toy. Yeah. And then we've also got our $25 toys too that are quality. But most of what we have is quality. But you got to have some of the end cap. I call it like the end cap items where they're like, oh my gosh, $1.99. What else do they have? You know, that's the Walmart way.
Get them with the end cap, and then they come down the aisle, and the price steadily goes up. We really try to be a little bit more honest than that, though. Really, the goal is to not have a piece of crap for $25.
Right.
If it's a piece of crap, it needs to be $1.99.
Yeah.
It can't be $9. Literally, PSP is selling people beta water. It's a pint for $5 or $7, depending on the store. That is madness.
We sell water for $39.71, and it's the same stuff. So, yeah, that's crazy.
So even though I could probably get away with that, I would feel dishonest. Okay. And I don't want to go to bed at night feeling like I'd rather tell people, hey, it's stupid to pay $7 for a pint of beta water when you could just use this perfect beta water that I've got right here and spend 40 cents.
Right.
One thing that pisses me off, and this happened the other day, is people coming in and thinking that our prices are automatically higher because we're a nice, like, boutique store. When really our prices are better than Petco, and 90% of our prices are better than PSP. So how do you
think you're going to be able to kind of change the message or let people know that?
That's a big challenge. We think that it may happen organically as people check. We've already had that happen a little bit. Somebody said, oh, it was more expensive over there. So that's happening.
If people just look at the prices without walking in and making judgments, then they'll see, you know. Right.
And I don't want to go right up to the edge of the street with a giant sandwich board that says we're cheaper, smarter, and better.
Because that would be bad for the brand.
Right. That's bad for my brand. That makes me look like a jerk.
Yeah.
Even though I still want to do that sometimes.
Just sometimes. Okay, so as we wrap it up here, what are some of your words of wisdom let's give words of wisdom for someone starting out in the pet space, and then also somebody who's maybe seasoned like you guys?
I think stay the course, right? It's kind of like the stock market. It's going to be up and down, and you really have to be committed to stay the course. It's not fast. It can happen. I mean, I would say we're modestly successful. You know, we will be more successful as time goes on.
When we opened for a year, and then the stock market crash.
Yeah, we opened in 2006, and literally 2 years later, the stock market crashed. We stayed the course.
Right.
Business got a little slow, but we kept doing what we did. And, you know,
yeah, what's great about the pet industry is that it usually does well in recession.
Anyway. It does weather recessions as long as you're focused. People will spend less. Sometimes you have to lower your standard of foods. You know, in all honesty, I was amazed.
Agile with what?
Yeah, like a food like Origin. You know, let's be honest. That's a 30-pound bag of dog food for $100. That's kind of mad.
Yeah.
Crazy. And so in a recession, people might be less inclined to spend $100 on a 30-pound bag of dog.
You gotta have your $35 bag.
Right.
Too, you know?
And so you've got to make those compromises. We do want the dogs to be fed. Mm-hmm. And then the next step is to make sure you're vetting those cheaper foods to make sure it's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah. But what I hear what you're saying though is that stay the course, and when businesses or the economy or the climate environment, like anything is changing, to be nimble and pivot and be smart with your choices, with your business decisions.
I think that you just hit something that we forgot to mention.
Okay.
Is because we are an independent, we own one store, it's family, we can pivot on a dime.
Yeah.
We can make a change really quick. If we want to change a food label, when Innova moved, the Innova brand of dog food went to Procter & Gamble, and then they had the 5 recalls in a row, we dropped it immediately. We pulled it from all of our shelves and never bought it again.
So being able to make these decisions can be stressful, but it can also be fun, and it is an upside to the big corporate stores who can't make decisions as fast.
Yeah, our industry is filled with trends and trendy. And you really have to discern the difference between trendy, which can be a cute, kitschy thing that's gone in 3 months, or a trend that can actually last for tens of years, right? Mm-hmm. But I think the pet industry has been riding a wave that hasn't been flowing for tens of years. They're still living in the 80s and the 90s. And even though the technology of some of our products have gotten better, the mentality is still way back in the day. And that's kind of my big push is to let us focus and be honest about how we're doing this, why we're doing it. Why are we keeping, what is this all about? What is our relationship with this? And then really help people make good choices. Again, I support animal husbandry on all levels, but I want people to know what they're in for. It's not going to be easy, and it's going to involve poop, right? And everyone needs to know. So,
if I'm super rich and I had to sell Beneful, I may not do it because I couldn't live with myself.
Yeah.
On people.
Oh, so if the choice was being a millionaire or selling Beneful, you just
it depends on how much money.
There's always a number.
There's always a number. So, all right, as we wrap up, I would love to know what one word you have that describes the future of the pet industry in your mind.
Bright.
I like that. What do you got, Sherry?
Bright.
Healthy.
Healthy?
Healthy.
Healthy.
Yeah.
Healthy as in products or healthy as in plentiful for business?
I was thinking more nutrition.
Yes.
Nutrition-wise, yeah.
I love it.
Like the raw food trend is hopefully going to stay and grow.
Stay and grow. I love it.
Go ahead. I was just going to say
that
when you think about what the pet industry is up against with people like PJAC, the Pet Joint Advisory, the Pet Industry Joint Advisory Council, right? And then you've got other groups like PETA, the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. And then somewhere in the middle are people like us, right? Like I live on both sides of that fence. I like animals being treated ethically, but I also believe deeply in the human-animal bond and that connection. I just want to make sure we're doing it right. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, sorry.
No, that's great. I love it. What a positive note to end on. So thank you, Mike and Sherry, so much for joining us tonight. Your insight and your willingness to share is just so greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And everyone for watching, thank you. I know that your time is so important to you and valuable to you. And so I just thank you for joining us. Again, my name is Candace Daniolo with Pet Boss Nation, and I deeply believe that, as well as our guests here tonight, that we are stronger together. So please invite any fellow business owners that you know to follow Pet Boss Nation or Pets Plus on social media, to join our free Facebook group communities where there's lots of tips and ideas shared between pet professionals all over the world. And I'd love if you could stop by the Pets Plus booth at Global Pet Expo. I think it's 3811 if you're going to be there. And I'm giving a few talks on Wednesday. There's a couple in the morning and one in the evening. Go to globalpetexpo.org to learn more. All right, everyone, have a wonderful evening and have a great night. And as I love to say, lead the pack, pet bosses. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.